Okay, so today I have for you the Miguron knives, Pagos 2, in a beautifully micro-milled titanium scales frame, and a lovely satin finished M390 blade. Beautiful blade. And these scales are just sexy as hell. That's why I got it. One of the biggest reasons why I felt like I had to have this knife. Because the micro milling on this son of a gun is just... whoo, oh. Texture, texture, texture. I can't hold it still. But, yeah. We're going to talk about how amazing this is. Come on, camera. Focus back out for me. Come on, camera. There we go. Ta-da! Now we're in focus. So I'm going to talk about how amazing the scales are with all that micro milling, and we're going to talk about the things that they definitely crashed and burned on. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that little crash and burn scene. But yeah, so let's get into the knife. Like I was saying, the micro milling on this thing is just unbelievable. Once the camera focuses in here. There we go. There is milling inside the milling. I hope you're picking that up. But yeah, so you have the horizontals going this way, right? You have the horizontals going that way. But in between them, you have kind of this wavy thing going on in between, inside of those milled tracks. And to me, that is just unbelievable for a sub $200 knife to have that double milling job on the scales in titanium. Oh, bumped the camera. Oh, and it just feels, I've never felt a micro milled scale anything quite like this. That is just one thing that just blew my mind. So that and the beautifully anodized blue thumb studs. Focus again, camera. Come on. Nobody wants to. There we go. These thumb studs are sick. I love. The blue is just like it's a perfect blue to me. And with the pivot screw head with their logo being that same blue. Oh, it's a beautiful blue. And those thumb studs are sick. Love them thumb studs. If you notice, I'm wearing my wedding band. Went out last night with the family and surprised the wife and put on the wedding band. And so, yeah, normally I don't wear it because of all the things that I do. It kind of gets uncomfortable, and I don't want it damaged. And I also don't want to lose my finger because of all the horror stories of how people lose their fingers from, wedding bands. So anyways, away from the tangent, wedding band tangent, the blade is very nice as well. Super wicked sharp M390. In fact, it got me last night, right here. Right here it got me, the tip. Decided to draw blood. Yep, so I can't return it now, right? But this is definitely a sharpening choil, not a finger choil. The jimping is on the top here, but this is where one of the faults are. So again, what is unbelievably sweet is the doubled micro milling on the scales, and awesome thumb studs with beautiful blue with matching with the pivot collar. It's just beautiful. And overall, and then the third thing is the ergonomics of the handle itself. It's just all together, it's a very clean looking knife, just great lines, and the ergonomics from it are just fantastic. Fantastic ergonomics. It feels so great. Pocket clip, spot on, excellent pocket clip. I love the groove there in it, and the fact that more than 80% of that pocket clip is resting on the scale and not, putting pressure on the lock bar. Yeah, even the lock bar has that micro milling. Ooh, unbelievably sweet. So yeah, overall impression, just the look of this thing and the details of that micro milling, it is an incredibly sweet knife. And just the ergos, oh, so damn comfortable. So damn comfortable. Don't feel that pocket clip. That pocket clip disappears. So, and it's light. It's nice and light. And can't go wrong with that blade shape. So, that's everything that is amazing about it. Now, we're going to pull a lefty here and get super nitpicky with certain details. Okay? Okay. So, I did go double check, and they definitely say that this is a front flipper. That says it on Miguron's website, and White Mountain Knives, where I bought it from. Always love shopping and buying from White Mountain Knives. They say that this is the front flipper too. Okay, so the problem is in order for me to, and I feel like I'm fairly good, definitely not the best, but I feel like I'm pretty darn good at front flipping. Yeah, it is a little bit of a challenge, and I gotta put some wrist action into it as well in order to get it to fly out there solidly. For me, really, again, because it is a challenge, when I go to use the knife, when I'm pulling out the knife to go to town using it, I'm just gonna flip it with the thumb studs. Okay, because that's the easier method. It is not a well done front flipper design for easy front flipping. It just requires more effort and holding it in a certain way. Okay? Yes, they did do some decent jimping on it, but the reason why I feel like it's not as good of a front flipper as so many others is, here's my Miguron Curex, which is my first Miguron, and absolutely fell in love with this thing. Watch my video on it, because it is a gosh darn good knife. A sweet, sweet knife. But you see how the front flipper on it is nice and tall. And here's the key thing, is the angles on the back side of it. Okay, this is nice and it's straight, and you got just a sharp curve, and then you got a straight back down angle. Straight back down angle right here, right? This guy has a nice long curve, gradual curve, and it doesn't come up very tall, and then the angle is not down but slightly upward. It's still going upward. So really, there's not a good way, when you're doing this motion, you're relying entirely on that jimping in order to bring it out and up and away and get that blade to rotate on its pivot, right? Just the way that this angle should have been a downward angle, and it should have been a little bit taller, very much like this one. I can front flip this one for days, and I do it. That's the easiest way to grab that. That works every damn time as I botch it up. But I can do it like that easily. I can do it slow, or I can do it fast. if my other finger don't get in the way. But yeah, I can flip. I'm trying to do this while I'm looking through the camera, right? So I can stay in frame, and that's hard. But anyways, this I can do, okay? Here's another great one. Artisan. Again, you see how the angle, like if they had just copied this, if they just copied this one, the way the angles are, it would have been money. It would have been a solid front flipper. Because this, I can do the over the top, like that, no problem. And I can also do the thumb. And I can also do that way with the pointer finger, right? So if they, and look how, you know, low profile of a footprint that front flipper is to the frame of the knife. Again, and like so close. They just needed to go a little bit taller, and then the backside of it needed to be an angle down like this instead of continuing an upward. So yeah, totally goobered up on the way the front flipper angles were designed. The next thing, and this is the bigger thing, again, it's not a huge deal. We're being super nitpicky, right? Super nitpicky. But the other thing is the lock bar. If the camera would freaking focus. Focus. Focus, focus, focus. Stand by. Stand by for focusing. Oh my gosh. This camera's not wanting to behave today. There we go. Got it. Alright, so this guy is sticking up just ever so slightly higher than this part of the frame, okay? The lock is. Now, if we did, let me see if I can't get more light here. Yeah. So yeah, this is and it's sharp. It's not rounded. If I can get the damn camera to focus. Come on. Standing by. There we go. So they milled this. They did not round this over at all. This is just a sharp cut by the machine. So your finger or thumb catches that ever so slightly. Ever so slightly catches that. So when you go like this, when you put your finger there, you feel it. You feel it and it catches. Hear that catch? Yeah. So that sucks. You look at, oh, the Artisan's aligner lock. Here's the, there you go. You focus better that time. So the way this one, the Curex is designed, see how it's down? See how it's not as tall as the frame? It's not as tall as the frame right there. It kind of goes down a little bit, sits lower. And so therefore, I mean, I can feel it, but not near as much. I have to kind of like dig my finger in to get it to catch. So when holding it, it's not a problem because it sits lower. It sits lower than the rest of the frame. So it's not an issue on the Curex. forget why. Hold on. The Max Ace Black Mirror here, focus camera, that I totally scraped the pocket clip against something not too terribly long ago. See how it is rounded, is milled, has a nice rounded interface there on the lock bar, so there's no point, there's nothing for your finger to snag on. Again, it's a little bit lower. It's not so much lower than the frame. With this knife, the blade stock itself with this jimping sticks up higher, a good bit higher than the frame, giving your finger all that traction advantage of that jimping. So yeah, so that's, again, it sucks that they didn't round that off. And then it also sucks that the blade stock there, I mean, look at that. It not only doesn't stick up at all, or have any jimping for that matter, but it actually flows down lower than the frame of the titanium scales. It dips lower. So it's not even filling up the same lines as the scale. So, like, why? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you have that, follow the lines of the scale, and that would have helped minimize the impact of that straight cut and it not being rounded over, right? So that is why you feel that. And it's not just my knife. I've consulted with 2 other people, and theirs is exactly the same way. So it was a design, we didn't pay attention close enough to that when they cranked these out. So, again, it's a sub $200 knife, but still, the way I feel about it, and I'm not going to return it, I still love the knife. I'm still crazy about the milling job here, and just love the overall look of the darn thing. But the lack of attention to detail on these parts is kind of a downer. It's kind of a downer. So, again, if they had made the front flipper like this one, like this Artisan, it would have been money. Or, again, trying to keep the look of the round lines and, the smooth roundness, they could have gone this direction. I love the Mohawk style top flipper, front flipper / top flipper, for being able to do that opening mechanism right there. Love being able to open it like that. And that works for both left hand and right hand. You can do that all darn day long, and it's a piece of cake. So yeah, if they had done more of a Mohawky top flipper, that's what I'm calling it, that would have been money too. That would have been good. That would have looked great with the lines, and trying to keep the curvature there of the overall profile. Or they could have done it like this, just a little bit taller, and that line going that way down rather than up, and they would have been solid. So, if Miguron was listening, those are my 2 tips, major tips in how this knife could have been freaking dead on perfection. Yeah, if they fixed the front flipper or made it a front / top flipper, to where it was just a lot more functional and not that little bit of a skill challenge, would have been money. And then the other thing is having rounded that guy or made the blade stock fill and fit the frame a little bit better. Okay. yeah, like the overall stock of the blade just should have been more filling of the for the handle. So again, the jimping down here, it being taller, so you feel that jimping, and that jimping becomes useful. That, or with the jimping on the Curex, they did the same thing. It's kind of down in there just a little bit. See how it's down in there just a little bit? It's not sticking up. So it kind of like defeats the purpose. The jimping is only useful in this knife for the sake of front flipping it. But once it's open, that jimping is not useful because it's recessed down. It's lower than the scales. So even pressing my thumb in there, I can barely get that traction, the benefit from that traction. My Spyderco Smock here, it's a little bit different design, the way they did the blade stock and the handle. But you see how the jimping is out there, and they cut away the handle back a little further. And so you have, again, full access to that jimping, full use of that traction. That is great. Same thing with my Apache, my Pena Apache. That jimping goes out just a little bit, you know, almost half of it is out in front of the handle scale, and it's not sticking up, but it's totally flush with the handle and the false bolster there. So I get and feel plenty of traction from that. It's not sunk down in like the Miguron here is. So they could have done better with the jimping, and they could have done better with the way they did the front flipper, and then also rounded, milled over and smoothed out the tip of that there. Luckily, I have the skills and the tools to take it apart and go at this with a Dremel bit, with a diamond Dremel bit, and I'm going to round that over myself carefully and just take a little bit of material to improve that, so it's not an irritation thing and doesn't bother me. Otherwise, without being super nitpicky like that, this is the Pagos 2, and it is a freaking awesome knife from Miguron. Again, look at that micro milling inside the micro milling. Isn't that freaking nuts? That's just the part that blows my mind. I just can't believe they bothered to pull that off, because that's machining times 2. Twice over they have to machine the scales in order to get that, making it take so much longer to crank these out and build them. But that is so cool. Alright, that's it for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me just lay all these out. Still, the Curex is my favorite from Miguron. Oh, zoom out, not in. Whee! There we go. Alright. And you got to see some other beautiful knives on the table today. So, hit the hit the thumbs up, like the video, subscribe, check out my other stuff, check out my video on this guy, and you all have a wonderful day. I am out of here. Peace.